Okay, we're back for quiz 15. It's going to be 600 questions since this has started. So we have to, I think we're starting to slow down. I can't remember any or think of any questions. So maybe do it every 2 weeks because I'm back at work next week. Right, couple of scores in last week. Stevie and Rita got a 30, which is good. Two of them done that and got a 30. I think that's the highest so far, 30. But hopefully this week we'll still get around the 30, 29 or 30. Big shout out to Stevie and Rita, Josie and Bill, and the girls from the Shankill Hospice, and Caroline from Hollywood, and Davey from Lisburn. Billy Gray there, if he's listening in. He always does well too. So here we go, round one. What sort of salad contains walnuts, apples and celery? What sort of salad contains apples, walnuts and celery? And number two, what is the alligator pear, also known as the alligator pear? And number three, you might find this a bit tough, this one. Who was the first commoner to appear on a British postage stamp? Who was the first commoner to appear on the first British postage stamp? Not the first British. Who was the first commoner to appear on a British postage stamp? It happened in 1964. And number four, who was the last British king to die in battle? Who was the last British king to die in battle? And number five, what are the only two countries that begin with A but don't end in A? What are the only two countries that begin with A but don't end in A? And number five, what does a deltiologist collect? What does a deltiologist collect? D-E-L-T, deltiologist. Number seven, what is the Latin term used for good faith? What is the Latin term used for good faith? And the last one in this round, it's a TV advertisement, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. Was advertisement for what in TV? Does exactly what it says on the tin. What was that an advertisement for on TV? Right, get your scores down, add them up, pause it, and I'm going to give you the answers. So if you want to hear them, pause it here, and when you've got all your answers down, replay it, play it again and see what you have. Right, number one, what sort of salad contains walnuts, apples and celery? It's a Waldorf salad. What's the alligator pear, also known as? An avocado. Who was the first commoner to appear on a British postage stamp? It wasn't Churchill, it was William Shakespeare. Who was the last British king to die in battle? Richard III. What are the only two countries that begin with A but don't end with A? Afghanistan, Azerbaijan. And a deltiologist collects postcards. The Latin term used for good faith is bona fide. Bona fide. Bona fide. Does exactly what it says on the tin. Was an advertisement for Ron Sale Woodstain. Right, put them up there, and we're going to go on to round two. This is the music one. Yep. Get it out of the way. Which three words follow the lyrics? Whisper words of wisdom. Which three words follow the lyrics? Whisper words of wisdom. Number two, which 1970 hit begins with a group of children singing Jesus Loves the Little Children? Which 1970s hit begins with a group of children singing Jesus Loves the Little Children? That'll be Sunday school things used to sing. So what 1971 hit, or 1970 hit began with that? And number 3, Mud had 3 number ones. Loneliness Christmas, Tiger Feet, and what else? Mud had 3 number ones. Loneliness Christmas, Tiger Feet, and what else? And number 4, which number one record had the shortest title? Which number one, this is UK, which number 1 UK record had the shortest title? And number 5, according to the group Middle of the Road, what tune did McDougall hum to? According to the group Middle of the Road, what tune did McDougall hum to? Number 6, according to Elvis Costello, what's the only type of accidents that will happen? According to Elvis Costello, what's the only type of accidents that will happen? Number 7, according to Dawn, the group Dawn, what do you do if the answer is no? According to Dawn, what do you do if the answer is no? And your last one in the music round. In 1986, the Matchroom Mob hit the charts at number 6 with Snooker Loopy, but which 2 singers sang along with them? In 1986, the Matchroom Mob, that's what you called the group of them, they were snooker players, and the Matchroom Mob hit the charts at number 6 with Snooker Loopy, but which 2 singers sang along with them? It's like a tongue twister. Which 2 singers sang along with them? Okay, pause it. I'll just rewind if you want to go over some of them, and I'm going to give you the answers now. Which 3 words follow the lyrics whisper words of wisdom? It's Let It Be. Beatles. Which 1970s hit begins with a group of children singing Jesus Loves the Little Children? It's Everything Is Beautiful by Ray Stevens. Mud had 3 number ones, Loneliness Christmas, Tiger Feet, and the third one was Oh Boy. And which number 1 record had the shortest title? If by Telly Savalas. According to the group Middle of the Road, which tune did McDougall hum to? Tweedledee and Tweedledum. The tune McDougall always used to hum. It's Tweedledee and Tweedledum. According to Elvis Costello, what's the only type of accidents that will happen? Hit and run. Accidents will happen, but only hit and run. Hit and run. According to Dawn, what do you do if the answer is no? Knock twice on the pipe. If you have twice on the pipe, that'll do it. It's knock twice on the pipe. And in 1996, the Matchroom Mob hit the charts at number 6 with Snooker Loopy. Who was the 2 singers that sang along with him? It was Chas and Dave. Chas and Dave. Okay, tote them up there. And we're going to go on to number 3. I'll close this door. Oh, right. Number 1. What's the name for a female donkey? What is the name for a female donkey? And number 2. In which country would you find a Canuck? In which country would you find a Canuck? That's beginning with C, C-U-N, Canuck. And number 3, in which country would you find 60% of the world's lakes? You'll find 60% of the world's lakes in one country. And number 4, what's the biggest US state by land area? What's the biggest US state by land area? And number 5, what is the most photographed landmark in Australia? What's the most photographed landmark in Australia? And number 6, which river would you find the Victoria Falls? Well, what river does the Victoria Falls come along and go over? Okay. What is the river? Right. I've looked this up in the sources here, and it's L or R for the first two. Some people has Mandarin, but English is catching up, or some has English has overtook the Mandarin. English and Mandarin are the most spoken languages in the world, first and second, depending on which list you look at. But according to all of this, the third's the same. What's the third most spoken language in the world? Okay, English and Mandarin are number 1 and number 2, any way you want, which one way round. But what's number 3? All the list has this country at number 3. What language is at number 3? Number 8, how many lands are at the base of Nelson's Column? How many lands are at the base of Nelson's Column? In Trafalgar Square there, how many lands are on it? Okay, pause it and go over your answer, or your check any questions you want to go over, and play it again, and I'm going to give the answers now. Number 1, what's the name for a female donkey? A jenny. In which country would you find a Canuck? It's a slang term for a Canadian, so it would be Canada. In which country would you find 60% of the world's lakes? It's back in Canada again. In Canada you'd find 60% of the world's lakes. What's the biggest US state by land area? Alaska. And what's the most photographed landmark in Australia? It's not Ayers Rock, it's Sydney Opera House. And which river would you find the Victoria Falls? Or which river goes over the falls? It's Zambezi. English and Mandarin are the most spoken languages in the world, in another order. What's the third most spoken language? It's Hindi. How many lands are at the base of Nelson's Column in Trafalgar Square? There are 4. Okay, we're going to go on to the 4th round, which is a wee mixer, general. Number 1, what store is known sometimes as the Queen's Grocer? Which store is sometimes known as the Queen's Grocer? And number 2, Chernobyl. What country would you find it in? Chernobyl. What country would you find Chernobyl in? Okay, number 3, which colour got its name from a fruit? Now there's some fruits that took the colour's name, like blueberry and all. Blackberry, they've took the colour's name, but which fruit got its name, or which colour got its name from the fruit? Number 4, who was the youngest British Prime Minister? Who was the youngest British Prime Minister? Number 5, whose treasure were they looking for in Treasure Island? Whose treasure were they looking for in Treasure Island? Number 6, there are now 5 oceans: the Arctic, the Atlantic, the Indian, and the Pacific. What's the 5th ocean? There are now 5 oceans from about 20 years ago: the Atlantic, the Arctic, the Indian, the Pacific, and what's the 5th one? And number 7, what's the phrase called when you use all 7 of your tiles in Scrabble? If you use all your words in the one name you've got, it's called something when you use the whole 7 of your tiles. What's it called? And number 8, Which country has the world's oldest flag design? Okay, a lot of people have changed their flag over the years, but which country has the world's oldest flag design? Okay, get your answers down, pause it and rewind it if you want to go over a couple of them, because I'm going to give you the answers for this round now. Number 1, which store is known as the Queen's Grocer? Fortnum and Mason's. Chernobyl, what country would you find it in? Ukraine. And which colour got its name from a fruit? Orange. Who was the youngest British Prime Minister? William Pitt. Whose treasure were they looking for in Treasure Island? Captain Flint. Not the parrot. Now you called it Captain Flint too, but it was a parrot. He was the parrot that the bird was named after was Captain Flint as well. So there are now 5 oceans: the Arctic, the Atlantic, the Indian, and the Pacific. And what was the 5th one? It's a tough one for this round. That's the Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean, and that's around the Antarctic area. The Southern Ocean. What's the phrase called when you use all 7 of your tiles in Scrabble? It's called a bingo. And which country has the world's oldest flag design? It's Denmark. Okay, totally I'm up and hope you're in your 20s now, going into the last round. See if you can beat Stevie's and Rita's score at 30 here. But tough to beat 30. But tough to beat. If you're all getting around 20, between 25 and 30, you're doing well. Okay, number 1 in your last round. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink is a line from which poem? Some people say not a drop to drink. It's nor any drop to drink. I was just looking at it the other day. There's 143 verses in it long. 143 verses. Number 2. What's the name of Charles Bronson's character in the Death Wish films? Bruce Willis also played the same character in the remake of it there. But it's still the same character. And number 3. Which 5-letter word can go before national, face, and locked? Which 5-letter word can go before national, face, and locked? And number 4. What is the only building in the UK that the Queen or King cannot enter? What's the only building in the UK that the King or Queen cannot enter? And number 5. Which TV programme always began with the words, "And now from Norwich"? Which TV programme always began with the words, "And now from Norwich"? Number 6. The Bay City Rollers had 2 number 1s, "Bye Bye Baby" and what else? The Bay City Rollers had 2 number 1s, "Bye Bye Baby" and what else? And number 7. Which song from 1971 has a chorus with the words I know in it 26 times? It's not a chorus, maybe it's a verse. Not a verse, a wee paragraph, if you call it. Which song from 1971 has a paragraph with the words I know in it 26 times? I know. And then number 8, the last one in the round. What's the only Shakespeare play with an animal in the title? What's the only Shakespeare play with an animal in the title? Right. Pause it and go over them. Some of them ones you might want to go over again. And I'm going to give you the answers here in a few seconds. And hope you're going to get around the 30 mark anyway. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink is a line from which poem? It's the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. 143 verses. a long one. What was the name of George Bronson's character in the Death Wish films? It's Paul Kersey. Paul Kersey. They were great, them films. Plenty of action. What 5-letter words can go before national, face, and locked? International, interface, and interlocked. Inter. What is the only building in the UK that the Queen or King cannot enter? It's the House of Commons. Number 5. Which TV programme always began with the words, "And now from Norwich"? It's The Sale of the Century. The Sale of the Century with Nicholas Parsons. I think it was the first quiz that I ever got into. Really got me into quizzing. Sale of the Century, it was good. The Bay City Rollers had 2 number 1s, Bye Bye Baby, and what else? Give a Little Love. Number 1 for 3 weeks it was. Number 1. Which song from 1971 has a chorus with the words "I know" in it 26 times? Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone by Bill Willers. By Bill Willers. And the last one in this round was number 8. And what's the only Shakespeare play with an animal in the title? It's The Taming of the Shrew. Okay, get your answers in and let me know how you've done. See you next week.